morning. This is an IOL PowerPoint presentation for the subject Religious, Moral and Life Skill Education, Year 1. I am Annette van Heeren. I am your tutor. My cell number is 081-127-4660. My email address is van Heeren, as the Afrikaans surname van Heeren, fan for family, all small letters, @gmail.com. My contact hours you can contact me is Mondays to Thursdays, 9 o'clock in the morning up till 8 o'clock at night. Fridays and Saturdays, please only contact me from 9 o'clock in the morning to 1300 hours, and on Sundays I am not available. Please keep to the times I am giving you. This is a context session for all examinations of 2022. There's a typing error, please note 2022, not 2021. Welcome to this very important module. This is in this unit, you will study the concept religion and relate it to moral values. You will understand why RME is included in the junior primary phase, as well as the syllabus aims for this phase. You will note how RME is related to other subjects in cross-curricular issues. In this presentation, I will teach the following. I will advise you on how to study. I will discuss the exam paper and the technical aspects thereof. For example, how to complete the cover page and the rules of the examination. I will advise you on how to answer your paper correctly. I will also teach you how to use the verbs in your question to receive optimum marks. I will narrow down and summarize some important parts of your study guide and show you how questions can be asked on these parts, as well as how and when you can obtain help from me. Suggestions on how to study. You cannot pass the subject if you do not know the content of the study guide. You cannot start studying only one day before the examination. After receiving your study guide, immediately summarize the content. Read through your summary at least once a week. About 2 months before your examination, start studying. Do not try to study the whole content in one day. Divide it into portions that you can handle. Restudy the content on a regular basis to ensure that you do remember it. It is not wise to write RMLS11 and 12 in the same examination. Rather, pay enough attention to one at a time in order to pass your examination. Study the work that was summarized in this content-based context session. Use the references given to find the answers. Also, study the corrected questions in your returned assignment, as 30% of them can be in the examination. Take your assignment that I returned to you. I put some references on the assignment as where in your study guide you can find the correct answers, and study your study guide and your Kindle very well, because all answers will be from this. Here I also want to add, please students, in the online examinations and assignments, do not copy and paste from your study guide. I will see that immediately and you will be penalized. In the previous exam, lots of students copied from their study guides or worked together with other students. The tutors are not stupid. We know our study guides and we will give you up to IOL to be penalized. How to answer your examination paper. Your examination paper consists of the following: a cover page, an instruction page, and questions to be answered. The cover page is divided into a left and a right column. The left column will be filled in by the tutor when marking. Please do not fill in here. The right column must be filled in by you. When you do not write on the paper itself, but do it online, you must also be able to put on the top of your exam paper the following details about yourself: the CIF or your student number, your surname, your first name and initials, your ID number, the examination center, and your signature. The general instructions at the bottom of the cover page, you will find the general instructions. Please read through them and make sure you understand. All questions should be answered on the question paper in the line underneath each question. Now, when you have the online question paper, there will not be lines. There will be a text box. Just click in the text box underneath the question and start typing. The text box will enlarge by itself. Or answer all the questions. Use the mark allocation for each question as a guide for how many facts you should write down. It is best to number the facts underneath each other so that you can see how many you wrote, and then compare it with the mark allocated to the question. When you write exams, write legibly and neatly, because if I cannot read what you wrote, I cannot allocate marks to you. When you type, please do not use a font number 6, as this is very small and I cannot read it. The paper consists of 4 questions and you should answer them all. No cheating or disturbing. Serious steps will be taken against anyone who cheats or disturbs an examination session. These are the examination instructions from IOL. No unauthorized material or irregularities. This means you should not have your study guide next to you when answering your exam paper, even if you do it online. You should not copy and paste from your from your study guide onto the examination paper. You should not be asking or giving any assistance to other students. That means you should not sit in groups and answer your exam paper. No cell phones. You should not phone someone and ask them for help in the exam time. No leaving the room in the first 30 minutes, that is for sites exams. No late arrival for the site exams. In the online exams, if you are late, you will just have less time to answer your paper. The question paper, as well as the answering paper, is the property of IOL and may not be kept or parts thereof removed. All answers should be on the IOL pages. No smoking or eating in the examination room. That is for on-site exams, and with on-site exams you should sign the checklist. The key to answer a very good exam paper: study your IOL study guide or your Kindle very well, because all answers will be from this. Do not think that you can ask me to mark and help you pass the exam. I cannot help you pass. I mark according to a memorandum and my work is being moderated. So I cannot give you marks when the correct facts is not written down. Only you can help yourself pass the examination by knowing your work. Read the questions in the paper until you understand what is asked. Lots of students do not understand what is asked in the question. Answer in your own words means construct the correct fact from your study guide into your own words. Please do not use the facts as it is in your study guide. And also, it does not mean make up your own facts and write your own stories for me to mark. I do not want that. While doing this, while constructing it in your own words, make sure that you do not lose some important facts of the specific question. To avoid this, list and number the facts underneath each other wherever possible. Listing cannot, however, be done when you are asked to write an essay. Understanding how to answer a question. Every exam paper is set in 3 levels of difficulty. Level 1, 2 and 3. The levels, these levels are usually indicated by the specific verb that leads the question. In the front part of your study guide, you will find a list of verbs and what is expected of you when I use a specific verb. You will have to study this list or you will lose marks when not knowing what to do. The levels in your exam paper is divided as follows. Level 1, 70% of the paper. Level 2, 20% of the paper. And level 3, 10% of the paper. How to use the verbs in your answer. The verbs that is most commonly used is the follows. Level 1, list or name. Then you only name the content. Define, describe, outline, explain, summarize, identify. Just give the description or the explanation that you studied in your study guide. But please remember, put it into your own words. Otherwise, I will think that you copied and pasted. Level 2, discuss, analyze, comment, examine, design, create, investigate and demonstrate. With these verbs, you must still use the facts from your study guide, but you cannot only give the facts as it is. Some other actions is needed, and this you will find in the list of verbs in the front part of your study guide. For example, with discuss, give a clear description of the facts and then argue about the features. Examine means identify detailed features of something, give the facts, and then discuss them according to a given direction, drawing a conclusion. Use the list in your study guide, please, to find out what you will have to do with every verb that I gave above. In level 3, evaluate means determine the value, the worth, or the equality, or the success of something according to a certain criteria. Compare means you should indicate similarities and resemblances and differences of the phenomena regarding a particular criteria. Then you should draw a conclusion about the similarities and differences, emphasizing the similarities. Very often a table form is used to compare phenomena. If I do not ask for a table form, you can still give a table format. If you are asked to compare some facts to your class, make sure you indicate which of the facts you have found in your class or in the class of your tutor teacher where you did your SPS. Discuss critically, then students have to prove the positive and the negative points, and you have to draw a conclusion with discuss critically. Determine means to use the information given to work out the answer. So you use the facts from your study guide and then you work out the answer to the question. Distinguish, differentiate or contrast. Describe the two phenomena or things according to a relevant criteria. Point out clearly the differences between the two sets. This can also be done in table form. It is very important that you know to do with all the verbs, as not knowing will cause you losing valuable marks. Also note, any given question can be asked in either level 1 or level 2 or level 3, depending on the verb that I use in the question, and your answer should differ accordingly. Important parts to study in the study guide. Use the rest that I will give here to find the answer. For example, number 1, 2, 2 is heading number 1 to 2 in your IOL study guide. Also try to apply the different verbs to each part of the work to see how this alters the answer if a question is asked. Remember, if the verb change in my question, the level will also change, and I may formulate the question with another verb in every examination. You will get it with a level 1 verb in the first examination, with a level 2 verb in the second examination. every examination I will alter the verbs. Okay, in Unit 1, go to Unit 1.1.1. You should be able to explain the following terminology by using two synonyms each. Authenticity, benevolent, convictions, divine, everence, transcending. This is in your study guide in number 1.1.1. In number 1.1.4, you should be able to explain how religion is related to moral values. Number 1.2.3, being able to discuss the overall reasoning for including RME in the junior primary school curriculum in Namibia, as well as its implications for teaching. Number 1.3.2, name or list the syllabus goals for RME. Just name or list them underneath each other. In number 1.3.3, study the aims of RME in the junior primary phase in Namibia and be able to describe them. In number 1.5.3, you will learn that RME, as in the teaching of all other subjects in the junior primary phase, the learning is based on a standard of learning-centered education. This approach ensures the best quality of learning when teachers practice 5 specific principles. You should be able to list these 5 principles. In number 1.6.3, the Namibian Constitution provides for freedom of religion, and this right is generally respected by your government. The different religions found in Namibia can be tabulated according to the percentage of people practicing them. Be able to tabulate these in 5 columns from the most to the least and stating the percentage where applicable. Here is an example of the table that you should be able to know. In number 1.5.3.4, be able to describe the thematic approach or the integrated approach, and also be able to compare it with incidental learning opportunities, arriving at a conclusion. I'm asking you to give a conclusion on these two. In number 1.7.3, be able to list, describe or discuss the common themes that occur throughout many different religions. That means it's the themes that all the religions have. In number 1.10.3, be able to provide the definition of the term respect as well as the synonyms thereof. In the learning activity 1.10.2, children are not born with respect, caring or compassion for others. They have to be taught the skills they need to have in order to behave respectfully and kindly towards other people. Please study the practices on how you will teach them these values and at least 5 practical exercises to do this. In number 1.11.3, when we study the value, the worth or the humanness of human being, we often start by asking ourselves some question and then seeking the answers to that. Study these questions. They are stipulated in number 1.11.3. But in number 1.11.3.2, most religions teach that everything was created by a superior being or God. Yet, there is no other creature on earth created like a man. How does man differ from animals? Number 1.12.3, study the development of moral values in children through teaching religious, moral and life skills education, as well as the abilities that learners are empowered to through teaching the subject. Unit 2, number 2.1.4. You should know the influence that values have on attitudes, ideas and behavior. Number 2.3.4. You should be able to describe or discuss all positive behaviors that children can learn from the good values of their parents. Number 2.5.3, be able to give the definitions of the following values, law and rules. Number 2.5.6, you should also be able to stipulate the importance of school rules in each classroom and in the school as a whole. Number 2.7.4, in order to identify your personal values in life, you should be able to construct an exercise consisting of 3 main questions that will help you find out more about yourself and what determines your motives in life. The 3 main questions should also each have at least 3 sub-questions added to each of them, by which you can identify the values you affirm, arriving at a conclusion. In number 2.8.5, what as well as why would you teach children about respecting others in life? Then learning activity number 2.9.9.2. You should know how negative social behavior is related to crime and corruption, as well as the circumstances under which corruption in a country will become epidemic and can lead to crime and corruption if nothing is done to change it. You should also know the effects that negative social behavior has on society, and that where corruption is endemic in many society and where they are the worst in countries where what happens. In number 2.9.7.1, study the examples of positive social behavior, the interpretation of each and how to teach it through RME. In number 2.10.5, in studying how values influence our attitude towards judging other people, we find the following statement. Children should be taught to look at people for who they are and not try to judge them on first impressions. You should be able to clarify this statement. Unit 3, number 3.1.4.3. You must be able to know how positive feelings can have a life-changing effect on someone's life. Number 3.2.5, you should also be able to list and describe or discuss the 4 dimensions of EI according to Salovey and Meyer model. Number 3.4.4, studying the relationship between EI and leadership. The same basic values is needed for developing EI as well as leadership skills. You should be able to discuss these. In number 3.4.4.1, you should study the 6 leadership types identified by Daniel Goleman. In number 3.4.5, on the topic relationship between EI and democratic behavior, you should know the definition of democratic behavior, the features of democratic behavior, and the features they exhibit as leaders. In number 3.5.5, you should know the abilities we need to develop EI and to handle problem solving and to manage your own instinctive emotions. In number 3.6.3.1, while managing your own emotions and attempting to stay level-headed and in control of your emotions in demanding situations, there are several steps we have to take. Name these steps. Remember, name, ask you just to put them underneath each other. In number 3.9.7, to resolve conflicts, we need to listen, hear, and understand one another in the conflict situation. Clarify this statement. Unit 4, unit number 4.1.3, Discuss or explain what is understood under the term nutrition. Number 4.1.4, why and how will you measure a moderate sized portion of food to eat? Remember, it can be two questions. The first one can be why will you measure it, and the next one can be how will you measure it. Number 4.3.3, try setting a table of your own budget for a month, filling in your own information. Here I have a table for you to look at. The table should be divided into income, expenditure and balance. The income. Under the income, you should have a description of every income that you have and then count it together to put it in the place where they say total income for the month. Expenditure. Under expenditure, you must write down every expenditure that you have underneath each other and the amount that they cost you. Then count it together for the total expenditure of the month. Then you have to balance the two above. You put down the total income of the month, you put down the total expenditure of the month, and then as a balance, you take the total income minus the total expenditure, and that is what you will have left for savings. Number 4.3.5, saving money means any way of keeping money for the future. The most effective way to accumulate savings and keep money for the future is to maximize your earnings. That means you should earn as much as possible and to limit your expenditure. That means to spend as little as possible. Explain the ways you can limit your expenditure in order to maximize savings. Number 4.4.4.2, state the ways to maintain personal safety and avoid certain areas. 4.5.5.1, teaching is a very rewarding profession. However, it can generate high levels of stress and fatigue that can lead to depression and burnout if not addressed. Study these stresses that can add to this. Number 4.8.6.4, explain how one could protect and prevent yourself from abusing addictive substances. Please be aware, it's not the learners, it is yourself. Number 5.6.2, when you unit 5 and 6 are on the preparing lessons theme. The themes are on lessons, and I just gave you a few lessons and a few tips. You are preparing a lesson from the theme My Community using the topics morals. Then prepare the lesson in a table form. Plan 5. Remember, there should be 5 activities that your learners will participate in. This should include at least 2 stories from the Bible where moral plays a significant role. Then you should know there should be 2 stories from the Bible that shows 2 morals. In an adjacent column, please provide each activity with a specific resource or material that will be used in this activity. Each resource or material should be specifically linked to that specific activity. Here is an example. If you have by number 1 the activity, learner sings hymns. The material cannot be modeling clay. It should be where did you find the hymns for them to sing. If number 2 is I read a story about Moses in the Nile River, then your material cannot be a sand tray with cars in it. It should be the Bible that you read the story from. If you're in number 3, it is draw a picture of Moses in the Nile. Then the material in number 3 must be the paper that they draw on, the crayons, whatever they use to draw the picture. That is how the material works, etc. Another lesson, prepare an RME lesson from the theme plants using the topic beliefs, norms and values. In table form, plan 8 activities. Let on the 8 that your learners will participate in. And this should include at least 2 stories from the Bible where beliefs, norms and values plays a significant role, as well as 2 stories in the Bible where plants play a role. So now for this lesson you have 4 Bible stories, and then as I ask for 8 activities, there should be 4 other activities, and the activities should be related to the theme plants and the topic beliefs, norms and values. In the adjacent column, you should also provide with a specific resource or material that will be used in this activity. 5.10.5.2, the facts on calculating the final marks of the pre-primary phase as well as the usefulness thereof. How would you calculate it? 5.10.3, how different personality types of learners influence the strategies of academic assessment. While doing assessment in the pre-primary phase, we have to remember that each child is unique, individual, with his own personality. A discussion on how this should be done will be asked. Learning activity 6.10.2, how grade 1 learners should be assessed according to need. How you will assess them. In grade 1, informal and formal assessment is being done. Informal assessment and formal, how that will be done. How formal continuous assessment activities will be done. And then also how formal continuous assessment marks will be calculated. Number 6.10.3, the purpose of formal continuous assessment. 6.10.4.3, the junior primary grades, detailed guidelines on the process of recording continuous assessment can be found in the Junior Primary National Policy Guide. Study the specific process of recording the continuous assessment. That is, how do you record it? Not how do you do it, how do you record the marks? And 6.10.5, when using the 6-point grading scale, competency descriptions are allocated to each grade, as well as clarification or the full meaning of each description. Please study this grades. Short questions can also be asked on any of your work. For example, when assessing learner in the pre-primary phase, a 3-point assessment scale is used, and the 3 means fully mastered the basic competencies. When in the short questions, please note how the marks allocated to each short question, so that you do not only write fully mastered and then do not get the marks for the basic competencies. This is also a short question. At the end of the term, the marks for each competent are added, and the average marks in each competent of the columns is calculated by doing the following. There is also 2 marks, dividing the total mark by the number of assessment. Look at the marks, you will get 2 marks there. There are many short questions that can be asked throughout your study guide, and the short questions will differ every time. To the student, if you failed the previous exam, make sure that you obtain a report on what was done wrong from the IOL officers. Please use the references provided with the materials above to find the answer and study them for your examination. If you have a question you would like to ask me, it is best to email it to me at vanheerdenfam@gmail.com. Then I can give you a well-constructed answer. But if you must phone me, please adhere to the following calling times as said above: Mondays to Thursdays, 9 a.m. to 20 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays only 9 to 1, and no calls will be answered on Sundays. Also, please note that our tutors do not work in the office. We are part-time workers and cannot help you with any administrative problems. I can only help you with problems concerning your subject content. Please, I want to state again, do not copy and paste from your study guide in the online exams. You will be found out and you will be reported to IOL for discrepancies and you will be penalized. Please study your work so that you can write it down without looking at the study guide or without the help of another student. I wish you the best of luck for your examination. Thank you.